All right. So for those who are joining us on YouTube, just welcome to our meetup today. We're going to go through some Confluence macros and dive a bit deeper. So we're going to start with writing a filter first, and we'll save it. And then we'll compare also between Jira dashboards and Confluence dashboards and the gadgets that we can use in there. Sorry, I'm using the first of the demo instances today, and as we've discussed before. For some of the newcomers, these projects, Ancient Circle, Ancient Furniture, etc., they are ones that were imported data. So it's good to have the data, but some of the workflows and stuff that came with them are a bit odd. But I really like, so native birds and native plants, Jaya created those.
Are you sharing, Paul?
Are you sharing?
Oh, I beg your pardon. Sorry.
Sorry.
I got a bit ahead of myself. So screen 3. Thank you. There we go. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah, all good. Thanks.
Okay, awesome. All right, sorry.
Okay.
My bad.
No
okay, so APC, APR, they were created by Ignacio and Kudzi. Have you got much data in those ones, guys?
not a huge amount on in APC.
All right, no worries. So let's have a look at some of these others. And customer simplification program, that was yours, Kudzi. Have you got much data in that one?
Yeah, I've just created it. No, not much. I was just literally playing with it this morning, so not much.
All right, no worries. Okay, so native plants. Okay, so we haven't got anything on that one, but native NAB board, native birds. So we've got a bit of data in that one. Okay. We've got stories, we've got bugs, we've got tasks. Okay, and what other sort of data have we got? We've got some subtasks in there, so that's cool. Okay, maybe let's use NAB board. And so if we write a filter here, okay, so for those who haven't seen filters before, under the top menu at the top of the screen here, so there's projects where you can navigate between the different projects that will keep the most recent ones in the top of the list there, or you can view all, or if you've got permissions to, you can create a new project. And a project in Jira is more like a collection of work. It doesn't have a start and a finish date. That would be a release concept in Jira. So a project is a long-running thing, which is akin to a product, so to speak. So for realestate.com.au, for example, they might have a particular product in there, and they might have a, I don't know, I'm just guessing, might have a Jira project around that particular product, and it would be a team that would work on that particular product, and they would have Scrum sprints perhaps, and they'd work out of a backlog for their product. So that's the project concept in Jira. You can create a project per real world project if you wanted to, with a beginning and an end date, and then close the project down after time. But you're probably generally able to manage that via releases in Jira, or fixed versions in Jira instead. So the next menu here is filters, and we can write quite sophisticated filters. So I've just come down to the advanced issue search. That's brought me to this screen here. And we can build up a filter in Jira. If you hear me say query or filter, I just mean the same thing, right? So I'll try and remember to say filter. You can visually build up your query or filter. There we go, based on criteria. So we can select which projects we want to bring information from. So here we're going to use, I think it was native birds. And we can pick what sort of type of issues that we want to bring back. And just a reminder that issue in Jira does not mean problem. Issue just means a Jira record. And so whether it's a bug, epic, story, task, or an issue type that you create yourself, we just refer to those as issues. We can pick what sort of statuses we want, assignees, and you can build up this criteria visually this way. So we could pick a date range for a particular due date. So we could say items that are now overdue, and I might not get anything there. And you can remove your criteria just by clicking on that X. And then we can switch across to JQL. So JQL is just Jira query language. So Jira query language for filters. And it's sort of built up in this way. So it's like a where clause, I guess, with an order by. So project equals nab, order by created descending. So we're just going to save this one as a very basic filter. So go save as, and we'll call this Confluence demo. And when we create a filter, we can see who it's owned by. We can edit permissions. And so this one, I'm just going to make it available to, and make it organization wide. So any logged in user will be able to see this filter. And we're going to save that. And also under details, there's another section down here for subscriptions. So last week we created a subscription to a filter and I've forgotten to turn it off. So I'm getting a friendly email in my inbox each day now, telling me that I've got some overdue work. And so when you create a filter, you can, filter subscription, sorry, you can set it up as a personal subscription, or if you've got the rights to do it, you can have it emailed to a particular group. So I'm just going to leave it as a personal one now. And you could have this running daily on particular days of the week, on particular days of the month, or you can have an advanced using like a cron job expression if you wanted to. I'm just going to go with daily. And you can say how often you would like this emailed. So once every 3 hours, etc. And at what time you would like it to run. So I'm going to say I want this one at 8 o'clock in the morning each day. And optionally, you can have the results of the filter emailed to you, even if there are no issues found. So if you imagine that you wanted to have a filter for work that was assigned to you and due within the next week, and you wanted to have that emailed to you each day, then you could do that. So it's a pretty handy feature.
Yeah, I was just going to say, great use cases here when there's a new one. It might be, and Michael, I'm just thinking for your project management, if people are just chucking in more work. So what are the new issues or new things that have come up for the day for in the last 24 hours or whatever period it is? So you can get really with the JQL. I mean, we've got some very simple JQL there at the moment, but you can do things where status has changed in the last 24 hours and all that sort of stuff. So time-based. So, yeah.
Yeah, really good point.
So I'm actually working on census at the moment, and one of the teams was they're doing triage, where they triage for new issues that come up, and that's exactly what they use it for. And it became to be a very popular one, which has just been copied around the place. What is new work that's come in and needs to be triaged, new bugs, new whatever.
Yeah, that's great. And you mentioned about it being copied. That's a fantastic feature of Jira and Confluence, that once you've created a filter here or a page in Confluence that's very sophisticated with macros and stuff, you can just copy it. And quite often people do that. They'll say, oh, this is really good for this team and it's working really well. Poach it and they'll use it, like tweak it a little bit and use it in a different team as well. So it's really good, saves a lot of work. And yeah, you're right, Michael. Jeff. You can do things like and status was in done, for example. So it could be, if I can type properly, it could be that you want to see items and resolution equals unresolved, for example. You might want to see things that have been closed before or been moved to done and are now unresolved. We're probably not going to have any of them there, but you would imagine if I, this one here, if I mark that as done, and then I put it back to in progress, and my filter unresolved status wasn't done, I should have one in there now, right? So yeah, there's, it can be very, very basic, or you can make very complicated or sophisticated, I should say. Filters, JQL can be very, very powerful. Okay, so I'm going to save that one again. I'll just take out this criteria.
And Paul, whilst you're doing that, is it for newbies in JQL, is there a universal character, I think it was a slash or backslash, that gives you then a choice of semantics or keywords?
Okay,
so yeah, I'm approaching JQL from a total novice. How do I? Right. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So JQL, the slash that you're thinking of is for inserting a macro into Confluence, I think.
Got it. Yeah.
That's okay. That's all right. So in here, though, you're right. There's autocomplete. So if you're completely stumped and you want to do JQL, so if I type and, then it'll give me fields that I can put in here. Yeah,
Got it. Okay.
So if I put change completion date, then it'll start to prompt as well.
Handy.
Less than, right, end of day, etc. Yeah, so that's really, really handy as well.
And what about for keywords or reserved words? Does it work the same? So description desk is a reserved word.
Yeah, that's right. So if I actually got a project that has a key of IS, for example. So I haven't got a project here called IS, but you notice it'll throw up an X there, right?
Okay.
And now it's giving me some errors there. And then if I try to search on that, error in JQL, expecting either a value, list, or function but got IS. Must surround IS in quotation marks because it is a
reserved word.
Yeah, that's right. And now it's saying, well, the value IS doesn't exist for a project, which is fine. Yep. So now,
and I imagine if you do a search on Atlassian help, they will probably have a whole section on JQL, yeah? But just to read and discover.
Yeah, that's right. So that's weird. Okay, it's showing my bookmarks anyway. But yes, you can, if I go to Atlassian.com and search for JQL. Wow, that's old. So Greenhopper is what the agile part of Jira used to be called. It was actually a separate plugin that Atlassian bought, like they buy with everything else, I guess. So developer resources, nothing there. Articles, JQL, using filters and subscriptions. So yeah, you're right. You can just go to Atlassian.com, search, and there's lots and lots of information there. So post that in the chat. Oh, good on you, Jeff. Thank you. That's good. Follow Jeff's link. That's much better than mine. That's a good one. Actually, Jeff, you'll be really helpful in, as you have been, in Slack as well. So when people have got questions in there, the Jira references or Jira resources, I think you'll have a lot of really good tips.
Feel free,
so.
just feel free to just @ Jeff, the @ channel. I get lots of them, but if you do @ Jeff, that's helpful. Yeah, I'm happy to just put a question there. I was actually wanted to get an update from Kudzi on how she went with her Confluence status reports later. But anyway, see if there was progress. Maybe I'll talk to you on Slack about that.
Unless if that would be helpful for the rest of the group as well. Now, do you want to just quickly talk about what you were doing in Confluence, Kudzi?
In Confluence, I've been doing bits and pieces. Well, I'm trying to get rid of PowerPoints for my project sponsors. So I was trying to run reports, status reports in Confluence, just so I don't have to have another working document in PowerPoint.
Yeah. No worries.
So it's I find it challenging. I still find myself doing the PowerPoint.
Yeah, no worries. And was it under APR that you were doing that?
I tried APR didn't have a lot of data, so it was Ancient Circle, I think.
Okay. Yeah. So if we go to Ancient Circle.
And just bearing in mind that I'm not a developer, so the JQL I'm wanting, letting to create those sort of run those.
Yeah, that's okay. No stress. Can you remember whereabouts you where you created your pages? That's all right. I might let you see if you could find that. No, it's all right. Actually, if you open up Confluence and you go to recent,
Yeah.
it will probably have your work that
2
you've
seconds.
updated there. Yeah, no worries. Okay, and so for those who haven't used Confluence much before, you can jump from Jira to Confluence just on the little 9 dots up on the top left-hand side here. You can switch to, and you can see here Confluence. We can jump across to that. And so I'll just right-click and open that in a new tab. And in Confluence, the work is arranged into spaces. So whereas in Jira, we've got projects for housing all of our data and our issues, in Confluence, our information is arranged around spaces. And so what we're looking at here now at the moment is the ancient furniture space. In the cloud view, or cloud Confluence solution, you'll always have this overview link at the top. And then there's a link to blog and space settings if you've got permissions to adjust your space settings. There's a section here for space shortcuts. And so here you can add links either to pages within the Confluence space, but you might have links to pages else outside as well. It might be a particular project in Confluence or a board. You might have a link to it in Jira, sorry. You might have a link to that. It could be your handy JQL reference to Atlassian. You might have a space shortcut there, or your SharePoint instance, or whatever it might be for your work sitting. Then underneath that is pages, and these are in a tree structure. So we can expand out the hierarchy of the pages here. So we've got some parent and child pages. And if you had a Jira project that had a lot of releases underneath it, and you were sort of grouping your work by projects, then you might have different high-level sections here for those different projects. So it could be, you've got a parent page and then you've got different things relating to sprints or workshops and different things underneath that. And then another project, you could have it same sort of structure once again. You can see to the right-hand side here, there's a plus button. And so you can add a child page. So if I hovered over status report demo, for example, and I clicked on that plus, it would create a child page underneath that. Using the create button at the top up here, if we use that one, it will create it as a child page of whatever we're looking at the time. So just bear that in mind. So if I happen to create a, and we've got a whole lot of different templates available here. So if I just go with a blank one for now. Okay, inline comment, there's a new feature that was just released. Inline comments while editing, finally. So see, create, reply, and resolve comments while you're editing pages. That's pretty cool. So we can collaborate on a page. We could work together and people can put a comment as we're going. So I'm just gonna put this as a test page, just child page. So this is the title of my page is up here. And then I can add in some basic content into here. There's a page width setting. So you can either have it centered like that or you can go full width. And if I publish my page now, then we can see that it's created it as a child of status report demo. If I wanted to move that to be somewhere else, then I can just drag it down and drop it on another page. And it's now a child of that one there. There is another way to organize your pages as well, and this was the old way to do it. Before they had drag and drop, you used to have to go into space settings, content tools, and reorder pages. And that was sort of a bit clunky, but similar sort of thing that you can move your pages up and down and drop them elsewhere. And in here, you can also sort alphabetically as well if you wanted to. So if I go back,
Paul.
Yeah, you're right.
How did you do that? Sorry, do you mind? I was just looking, I was trying to do something else in
That's all right.
Confluence.
Yeah, no.
How did you rearrange your pages?
No stress. So in the, when I'm looking at a page, so not in
Yeah.
the settings, but in another way, I can just click on a page on the left
Yeah.
and move it. So I'm just going to
Okay.
drop that one under decision log, for example.
Okay.
Right? And then it becomes a child of that page. But the other way you can do it is through space settings. So sorry, I jumped into that a bit quick. Yeah. Top left, space settings. So if I open that in a new tab, then the options, it's been a fair while since we've looked at space settings, but across the top here, when we go into space settings, we've got an overview. This is where we can set the space logo or change its name. We can change which page is the home page, for example, and we can edit categories that it might belong to. We can configure our sidebar. So, you know, before I was saying there were the overview, blog, etc. We can turn those on and off if you wanted to. We could archive a space or delete it from here as well. And then across the top, we've also got permissions. Now I'm using the free instance at the moment, so they've got this grayed out. And of course, as a marketing ploy, hey, you can see permissions, so why don't you upgrade and try it out? So when you've got the standard or premium, or now they've got enterprise Confluence versions, then you can control your permissions at a more granular level, either for groups or individual users. And so you can say what they can do with pages, blogs, comments, attachments, etc.
Cool. Just curious on archiving. Paul, sorry, just a step back.
Yep.
If I archive my projects or whatever, you know, any documentation, coming up in my queries, if I does it still come up if I search for it, or once it's archived? No.
Well, that's good question. Let's try that out. So let's go into projects. Now, do you mind if I try archiving APR for a minute?
Of course, that's fine. No, go ahead, please.
Right. Okay. So move to trash. I think it will last for 30 days in trash. I've got the free version. Maybe let me try this here for a second. Trash. Yep, 60 days. Okay, so the project along with its issues, components, attachments, etc. would be available in trash for 60 days. So if I move it there, so let's say that was Witty Food, which is WIF. So I'm going to go into write a filter. Project equals WIF. Okay, so it's not going to let me find it there. Now let's see if we can get it back out of trash. Jeff, I might need your help here. I'm guessing it's under system.
Sorry, mate. I was actually just researching that topic because I go to the help.
Good work.
So anyway, I noticed that in there was an issue with it, so I'll just dig a bit deeper.
Okay. So
But archiving isn't trash, is it? Because trash is when you've deleted something, in my basic understanding, and then archiving is just you know, putting it in a folder somewhere where you want to refer to in the future without trashing it.
Yeah, that's right. So under the free version, there's no archiving of projects, okay. But if you get premium or enterprise, then you can, or standard, I think, then you can archive. So with the free version, we can move it to trash, but at least it remains there for 60 days. It used to be that it was gone straight away. So I wasn't sure how to find the trash. So when you go into Jira settings, and all of you have got admin rights in the free versions that you've got access to. So when you go into settings, top right-hand corner here, there's search Jira admin. Right, and so I just searched for trash, and it's just taken me to it. So it's actually under projects, which is pretty cool. So under Witty Food, I now have the options to delete it permanently or to restore it. So if I restore it, and now I run my query again, and the data's back. So that's handy.
Or can I just, I don't know, this is silly, but can I just on search, if I just search, on your right, on the right near there where you put your mouse, if you just search trash, will it come up or not? I'm just curious. No. Okay. No, it's silly. I just thought I'd ask the question.
No, you know what? That's not a silly question at all. To be honest, I hardly ever use this search box up here. So I was quite interested in that myself. So when you search this, it's searching within issues. So if I said, I can either search for a particular key, or I could say, go one of these ones, MUO 13. Then it would take me directly to that item. So the search box up here in the top right corner, this is not the admin one, this is just a general one.
Oh, yeah.
This is a lot more powerful now than it used to be. Okay, use it, Jira and Confluence as search. Pretty cool. Yeah, it's a lot more powerful than it used to be. So wow, that's pretty awesome. So
Yeah, this is a change which is fairly recent. So if those are interested in new features that come out and what have you, don't want to read the release notes, Adaptivist has Adaptivist Live have a podcast. So as I walk the dogs, it comes out every fortnight.
Really?
And yeah, so it's not too bad actually, because we have a bit of a chat around the different challenges and all that sort of stuff. But then again, maybe I'm more interested than others.
Well, if you wouldn't mind sharing that in Slack, Jeff,
Please,
that'd be really cool. Yeah, that's awesome. And so down the bottom here, we can go to all issues, boards, projects, filters, or people, for example, and search within those. It won't. It's not offering me to search within settings down here, but oh, it's cool. And you know, as we said with the meetup in the very beginning, there's no such thing as a silly question. And as you just demonstrated then, Kudzi, your questions help me to learn too, right? And everybody learns from your questions. So that's really important. Okay, so in Confluence, we were just having a look at the way to reorder pages. And you can either do it the old way, which is in here, or via the left with just drag and drop. Okay. Now, Kudzi, did you find your status report?
Sorry.
That's okay. That's right. Michelle, what's the Slack channel called? So we've got Jira and Confluence. Got a Jira Confluence Meetup Slack channel. I think I've invited you to that one. Yep. So it's Jira Confluence Meetup, and that's where we can chat on things like this. So if we've got any questions, any plugins that we want to share with people, anything that we've found, the podcast that Jeff's going to share in there as well, any of that sort of stuff can go in there, and it'd be great. Like if anybody has any tips, tricks, suggestions, or questions, or things that they're stuck with, or whatever, if you post it in the Slack channel, and anybody in the Slack channel can jump in and help you with it. So it might not necessarily be myself who'll answer your question. It could be that somebody else comes up with some answers before I get to it, which is brilliant. And by doing that, by asking you questions, it gives everybody else an opportunity to learn as well, because when you're teaching people, it helps it to sink in. So yeah, it's helping everybody by asking you questions.
Sorry, Paul, you might have just to bear with me. It's cycling. My connection is just slightly slower than usual.
Yeah, no stress. That's all right. So let's go.
Yeah, I'd be curious to have that addressed at some point, because I do it all the time. It would just be nice to automate when I can.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's jump into this child test page. I know, so we haven't got long left, but let's do a few macros here. And okay, so we've been through some of these before with the formatting and different items across the top here when we're editing a page. And you saw me click on the little pencil up on the top right-hand side there before. The other thing that we've discussed is how do we know whether we're in the old editor or the new one? The new editor, the publish button will be up the top here. With the old editor, it'll be down the bottom. And the old editor, I think it's going away in February. Is that right, Jeff? Sometime soon.
I'll have to go back to the podcast and listen.
Okay.
Sorry, most of my work is actually over in the server version. So this is one of those things where I am learning on this as well.
Right. Okay. And in the server version, you'd still have the old editor, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and that's right. So this is
it.
the very, very different user interface, but obviously this is the future.
Oh, we're at bleeding edge.
It has been around for a while.
and
I think
like
I'm just behind the times.
yeah, I like the old editor better. But anyway, okay. So under the macros here, there's a set that we can just like a short list that we can add in. So we can put in code snippets or add a date or a decision, divider, expand section, info panel, etc. And then there's a view more option down the bottom here. So if we click on that, and Ignacio, yeah, you were saying about / before. So it's a shortcut to add a macro. So if I wanted to type in / and it'll come up with the autocomplete Jira, for example, and it'll give me the option to embed Jira charts, roadmap, etc., etc. So there's lots of different options in there. So our filter before was called Confluence Demo, and we shared that with any logged in user, right? So I go Confluence Demo, and in my test page, if I now go Jira and embed Jira issues here, I can just paste in the name of my filter, and it should work. Now, if I was going to make this available to external users, I would need the standard or premium version to do that. But hypothetically, if I wanted people to be able to access this Confluence page and see the data, but not necessarily have access to the Jira project, then instead of using a filter, I would want to put in the JQL there. So if I paste in the JQL, then I get the same result, right? So we can search using any issue key. So I could just type in nab32, search URL, Jira link, JQL, or plain text or filter. And we've got display options. And so we can display this either if I had a single record returned, or if I just typed in nab32, I could do single issue, or I can do just a total issue count. So if I put that in, it's just going to have the 32 issues there. Or I can do it as a table. And I'm going to limit that to 50 results. And I can say which columns I want to display. And we were looking at this, I think it was last week, maybe the week before, that this is a little bit clunky. You can't sort of go part way and drag these around. So if I wanted to swap assignee and reporter, for example, I'd either have to click on this little X, or I'd have to hit my backspace. So if I wanted to go reporter first, and then assignee, and then if I click in here, I actually get a list of all the other fields that I can add. So there's a lot of things that you can put in there, which is really handy. So I'm just going to add in status, and might have resolution as well. Now, if I save that page, well, that's funny. I'm pretty sure that I just changed it to be a table. So
I think we were talking about bugs before, weren't we?
We were talking about bugs. Yeah. Here's one I prepared for you earlier. So that was a little interesting. Publish that again. That's hilarious.
Do you want to go back into it? Can I just adjust something?
Yeah,
Just
sure.
go back into it. No guarantees. Go back in and edit. Yep. And now just change it back to table again. Do your 50 or whatever. And then just do insert. Now do a just a refresh of the screen. Reload. Yeah. I've been finding that sometimes it hasn't taken the settings properly. So quite often when you create a new column in Jira, and then sometimes you have to do a refresh of the board.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah, that's right.
So there's not quite right.
So it's a little bit dodgy, isn't it? So the default is table. Right, I'm just going
I think in this circumstance, it's a recreate.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, okay.
Oh, there you go,
so,
it worked.
Well, that was a recreate. So
Great,
I've just redone that macro. So guys, that's what it should have looked like before. Okay, and so anywhere there's a hyperlink here, if we click on that, it will take us into Jira and show us that data. And down the bottom here where it's saying 32 issues, if I open that up, then it will run that filter in Jira, which is pretty awesome. So it's handy. Now, what else can we do? So I've only got a couple of minutes left. But if I want to use that same filter, and so I've got that macro, I'm going to add in, so if I go view more, and up in the top right here, gadget. So if I look for gadgets, we've got a whole heap of these different gadgets that are available to us. And the UI on some of these is a little bit clunky, but if I wanted to add in a pie chart, for example, then I can do that. It's almost like a two-step process here. So we've got the insert button down the bottom. We need to configure the gadget up here. And again, the layout is kind of a bit weird. So I've got, where's my Confluence demo is the name of it. Confluence demo. Okay, you can't see it because the UI is bad. But if I wanted to have the issue type as my statistic, then I've got to save it there and then insert it. So that's one type of macro, which is very handy. Other ones is a two-dimensional filter statistics. And what's happened with their layout here, it's pretty ordinary. So if I want on my x-axis to be the issue type and my y-axis to be my status, for example, might bring back 50 results, then I've got to save it there. And then if I insert it here and publish the page. So we've got very basic data that we're using here and very basic query. We haven't got many custom fields or anything like that, but you can see how using a Jira filter, it's the same filter that I'm using in both, but you can use it in a range of different ways. This is just two of the macros, but there's a whole heap of different ways here. So this could be assignee, it could be fixed version, it could be Jira project. There's a whole range of different fields that you can use on this two-dimensional filter. I use this one a lot. And again, anywhere that there's a hyperlink here, you can click on it and it will run a filter for that. So if I wanted to see all stories which were in progress, then I could click on that one. If I just wanted to see all stories regardless of status, then I could click on this 18. If I wanted to see everything that was in progress regardless of issue type, then I could click on this 3 over here. So it's really quite handy. So if I wanted to see all my stories that were done, I can just click on that and it will run that filter. So it takes care of the JQL for you that way, which is really handy. We're at time at the moment, so I'll stop sharing my screen. So I know I did a lot of talking during that session, so thank you for your patience. But just cover the chat, and I'll stop recording. Thanks to everybody who's watching this on YouTube. We'll see you next week.